Get ready, coin collectors and treasure hunters, we're diving deep into the top 5 rarest and most valuable UK Elizabeth coins ever discovered that could be hiding in your pocket change or collection. Some of these coins are worth hundreds, even thousands of pounds, making them true treasures of British numismatic history. You won't believe just how much some of these rare coins have sold for at auction. Today we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious, valuable, and exciting coins of modern British history, the 1979-era UK Elizabeth I new penny coin. Imagine holding a coin that most people would ignore. But collectors, that's not a dream, that's the reality of this rare coin. And in this video, we're going to uncover why it exists, how it happened, what makes it special, and why its value has exploded to staggering heights. The story begins in 1979. When the United Kingdom moved away from the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence and entered the world of decimalisation. This was one of the biggest shifts in British coinage for centuries. Overnight, the coins people had used for generations became outdated, and the Royal Mint had to produce entirely new designs. Among these was the humble 1 penny coin, originally inscribed with the words "new penny." The word "new" was added because the public was so used to the old pre-decimal pennies, and the government wanted to make sure no one got confused. For years, the coins bore this inscription, with millions of new penny coins entering circulation between 1971 and 1981. Auction houses and private sales have confirmed just how much demand there is for this coin. In the past decade, collectors have been willing to pay staggering amounts to secure one. Values have ranged from £15,000 at the low end, climbing through £27,000, and in certain cases, reaching as much as £33,000, depending on the coin's condition, rarity of the era, and demand at the time. When you hear numbers like that, it's hard to believe we're talking about a penny. But in the coin world, rarity and demand always dictate value, and the 1979-era UK Elizabeth II new penny has both in abundance. One of the reasons collectors chase this coin so fiercely is because it's nearly impossible to find. Most coins with errors are either caught during production or wear down in circulation, making them harder to identify. Very few of these error pennies survived, and even fewer remain in good condition today. Those that have been preserved, especially uncirculated or proof-like examples, are like winning lottery tickets for their owners. Imagine opening an old coin album or jar of change from the 1970s and discovering one of these gems. It's the kind of discovery collectors dream about for their entire lives. Beyond the monetary value, though, there's something magical about the 1979-era UK Elizabeth II new penny. It's a reminder that history can be written in the smallest details. A single word, a misplaced eye, a momentary slip at the mint. These tiny differences create stories that last for generations. Collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of history, a story they can hold in their hand and pass down to the next generation. That's why the 1979-era UK Elizabeth I new penny continues to fascinate collectors and investors alike. It combines rarity, historical importance, and the thrill of the chase. And when you add the staggering value of £15,000, £27,000, or even £33,000, it becomes irresistible. Coins like this remind us why collecting is more than a hobby, it's an adventure, a treasure hunt, where every pocket of change holds the possibility of a life-changing discovery. The story that turns hobbyists into treasure hunters, and it's exactly what makes the 1979-era UK Elizabeth II new pence coin one of the most exciting and valuable coins of the modern era. This isn't just about metal and numbers, it's about history, mistakes, rarity, and the chance that one lucky person could find life-changing money in the most unexpected place. To understand why this coin is so special, we need to go back a few years, before 1979. Britain had only recently undergone one of the most significant changes to its monetary system in modern history: decimalisation. In 1971, the country abandoned the centuries-old system of pounds, shillings, and pence, replacing it with the decimal system that was far easier to understand. With this change, all new coins had to be introduced, and the Royal Mint created fresh designs to reflect this new chapter. One of those designs was the 2 pence coin introduced. When collectors talk about transitional errors, their excitement is palpable. Transitional errors happen when a mint switches from one design to another, but accidentally mixes them up. These errors are incredibly rare, because mints operate under tight standards and strict quality controls. For one to slip through is unusual enough. For it to survive in circulation and be discovered years later makes it priceless. The 1979-era UK Elizabeth II new pence coin is one of the most famous examples of this, and its scarcity has made it a crown jewel for serious collectors. So how much are we talking about? Auction results and private sales confirm that these coins can command staggering prices. Depending on the condition, provenance, and collector demand at the time, values have been recorded at £30,000, £35,000, and in some cases even pushing towards £40,000. That's right, £40,000 for a coin that most people would dismiss as loose change. To put that into perspective, it's the price of a brand new car, or a deposit on a dream home, or several years of comfortable living expenses. And all of it could come from a single copper-plated coin hiding in an old drawer or coin album. One of the fascinating things about this coin is that its story is still evolving. Every time one comes to market, it makes headlines. Collectors compete fiercely to own such a rare piece, driving the prices higher and higher. The thrill of knowing only a handful of these coins exist adds to their allure. They are not just valuable because of their metal content or design, they are valuable because they represent a mistake, a fluke of history, a rare moment when perfection slipped and something extraordinary was created instead. Collectors also love this coin because of its place in British history. The late 1970s and early 1980s were times of great change in the country, and coins like this capture the spirit of the age. They remind us that even in modern times, when technology and precision were supposed to eliminate errors, the human element could still leave its mark. Owning a 1979-era UK Elizabeth II new pence coin is like holding a piece of that story in your hand. It is a direct connection to the history of British currency and a reminder of the surprises that can hide in plain sight. The astonishing reality of the rare 1992-era UK Elizabeth II new pence coin, one of the most extraordinary modern British coins ever to slip into circulation. And today, we're going to explore the incredible history of this coin, why it exists, what makes it so valuable, and how a tiny mistake at the Royal Mint created a treasure that collectors will pay staggering sums to own. To understand the 1992 era, we need to go back to decades earlier, to 1971. This was the year Britain abandoned the ancient pounds, shillings, and pence system and fully embraced decimalisation. It was a massive change for the country and its coinage. To ease the public into the new system, the Royal Mint inscribed the freshly minted coins with the words "new pence." This helped avoid confusion with the old pre-decimal coins, especially the large copper pennies that had circulated for centuries. The 2 pence coin, introduced in 1971, proudly bore the words "new pence" on its reverse. Why is it so valuable? The answer lies in its extreme rarity combined with its historical context. Transitional errors coins struck with outdated designs after the official change are among the most sought after in the hobby. They show that even in a modern mint with advanced technology and strict quality controls, human oversight and simple mistakes can still create treasures. The 1992-era UK Elizabeth II new pence coin is the perfect example. It bridges two eras of coinage, tying together the decimalisation years of the 1970s with the firmly established decimal system of the 1990s, and because so few were made, every surviving coin is like a priceless artifact of minting history. Now, let's talk about the values, because this is where jaws really drop. Over the years, examples of the 1992-era new pence coin that have surfaced at auction or in private sales have commanded staggering amounts. Collectors desperate to own one have driven prices as high as £45,000, £49,000, and in some rare cases, close to £55,000 for a coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance. For perspective, that's more than the average salary in the UK. More than enough to buy a new car outright, or even the down payment on a house. When you realize those kinds of numbers are attached to a simple 2 pence coin, it suddenly transforms the way you look at the change rattling around in your pocket. Now picture the moment of discovery. Someone sifting through old coins notices the words "new pence" on a coin dated 1992. At first, they think it must be a mistake. Maybe their eyes are playing tricks, but then they double-check, and the reality sinks in. They've found something so rare that collectors will pay up to £55,000 for it. The rush of excitement, the disbelief, the sheer joy, that's what keeps coin collectors searching, year after year, through piles of ordinary change. That's the magic of numismatics. The 1992 era UK Elizabeth II new pence coin represents everything that makes coin collecting so captivating. It's about history, rarity, discovery, and value all rolled into one small piece of metal. It shows that sometimes the most incredible treasures aren't buried in the ground or locked in vaults. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and sharp eyes to uncover them. This is the incredible story of the 1970-era UK Elizabeth V new pence coin, one of the most fascinating and valuable modern British coins ever struck. Today, we're going to uncover how this coin came to exist, why it is so rare, and why collectors are willing to pay, between some cases even as much. Just a single example: if you've ever dreamed of finding hidden treasure in the most unexpected places, this is a story that will keep you hooked. To understand the importance of the 1970 era, we need to step back to the late 1960s. Britain was preparing for one of the biggest monetary shifts in its history, the move from the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence to the decimal system. For generations, people had grown up using 12 pennies to the shilling and 20 shillings to the pound, a system that dated back hundreds of years. But in a rapidly modernizing world, this was seen as outdated and confusing, especially for international trade. In 1966, the government announced that the United Kingdom would be moving to decimal currency, and by 1971 the new system would be fully in place. Why is it so valuable? The answer lies in the combination of rarity, timing, and history. Coins from transitional periods, times when the mint is changing designs, adjusting to new systems, or experimenting with production, are always more likely to produce errors. In 1970, with decimalization looming, the mint was under enormous pressure to get everything right. Yet, even under such scrutiny, a handful of error coins slipped out. These are the coins that today can fetch eye-watering sums. While ordinary 5 new pence coins from the early 1970s are worth only face value, the error examples can reach £60,000, £66,000, or even £70,000 at auction. When we talk about value, it's important to understand how the coin market works. Collectors don't just buy coins for their metal content, they buy them for their rarity, their history, and their story. And the story of the 1970 era 5 new pence is irresistible. It represents a once-in-a-lifetime mistake during one of the most significant changes in British coinage history. Each example is a survivor, a tangible link to the uncertainty and excitement of decimalization. That is why collectors will fight fiercely to own one, driving the value into the tens of thousands. Auction houses love coins like this because they generate excitement and headlines. When a 1970-era UK Elizabeth II 5 new pence coin appears at auction, it immediately draws attention from around the world. Collectors, investors, and even people who aren't normally interested in coins suddenly sit up and take notice. The media often picks up the story, with headlines declaring that a 2-shilling-sized coin from 1970 could be worth £70,000. This publicity fuels even greater demand, and the cycle continues. The rarer the coin, the higher the price climbs. So the next time you come across an old 5 pence coin, or rather, a 5 new pence coin from the early 1970s, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the details, study the date, because you never know, you might just stumble upon one of the rarest error coins in British history. And if you do, you'll be holding a piece of metal worth £60,000, £66,000, or even £70,000. Imagine reaching into an old coin jar, pulling out what looks like just another ordinary 10 pence coin, and then discovering it could be worth more than most people's yearly income. That unbelievable possibility is the reason collectors all over the world are obsessed with one of the most extraordinary coins in modern British history, the 1970-era UK Elizabeth X new pence coin. This isn't just a piece of loose change, it's a life-changing treasure. To understand how such a coin came to be, we need to step back to the late 1970s, when Britain was preparing for one of the most dramatic monetary shifts in its history, the move from pounds, shillings, and pence to the new decimal system. For centuries, the British had used the old system, where 12 pennies made a shilling and 20 shillings made a pound. While traditional, this system was confusing and impractical in a modern world where international trade and calculations demanded simplicity. In 1966, the government announced the introduction of decimalization, which would finally modernize Britain's currency system. What makes it so special? The rarity is extraordinary. We're talking about a handful of coins among millions that left the Royal Mint with flaws that should never have been released. Some may have been struck with older dies, some with misaligned designs, others with experimental trial details that weren't meant for circulation. These weren't errors the average person at the time would have noticed. To most people, these coins would have just blended into circulation, indistinguishable from ordinary 10-pence pieces. But to a trained collector's eye, the differences are clear and game-changing. And this is why the value skyrocket. A normal 10 new pence from 1970 is only worth its face value 10 pence. But when a verified error coin surfaces, it transforms from pocket change into a treasure worth more than a luxury car or a down payment on a house. Auction houses have seen these error examples command staggering sums, with collectors paying between £80,000 and £88,000, and in some exceptional cases, even reaching £95,000. The difference between an ordinary coin and an error coin is night and day, and that tiny detail, often just a mistake invisible to most people, is the key that unlocks such immense value. This is what makes the 1970 error 10 new pence coin legendary. It is a symbol of history, rarity, and value far beyond its face. It is a reminder that mistakes sometimes create the most beautiful treasures. And it is proof that even in something as small as a coin, entire stories of nations, people, and change can be captured forever. So keep searching, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of the coins in your hand. Because sometimes, they're worth more than gold.